Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this young lady back. She, of course, is a movie producer. She's a producer of the Dinesh D'Souza podcast. It, of course, is Debbie D'Souza. How are you, Debbie? It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a good while. Yeah, it seems like every time we chat, it's about Nicolas Maduro. I mean,
Well, Debbie, if you don't know, is from Venezuela. And you have explained to me what a beautiful country this used to be. It used to be the tourist destination. People used to enjoy their freedom, their liberty, and somehow, some way, and I think you and I talking about this, I'm going to take credit for it, probably helped to wake people up in the United States. They did in Venezuela what Obama tried to do, what Hillary Clinton tried to do, what Biden just tried to do, which is have a massive centralized government entity that controlled everything. Venezuela was tricky about it, though. The way Chavez got that power was he lied, right?
He cheated. He cheated in his recall election. That was when those machines went to work for him and switched the vote for him. And the rest, as we say, is history.
Well, he did become very popular, though, because he lied and he said he was going to take care of the little guy. Yeah. And he was going to take from the rich and give to the poor. This whole class warfare thing, this is how Marxists and socialists and these bad dictators all did it. He pretended he was one of them and then got all the power and then took control of everything, right?
Right. So that's how he got in the first place. But when people figured out who he was, and they were going to recall him, he was like, I don't think so, guys. I'm here to stay. So unfortunately, in 2004, that's exactly what he did. And he remained in power until he passed away in 2013. And then a really stupid man he was this really dumb bus driver, happened to be his vice president, came in and took control. Another, non-elected person, he also cheated. And as a matter of fact, just recently ran again and cheated again. And this is where we are.
It's Debbie D'Souza. Always appreciate you coming on. Make sure you check out Dinesh's podcast. She, of course, is his wife and producer of the program. So as we're watching it unfold in Venezuela, before we get to today, how does the dumb bus driver get that power? When Chavez dies, does he somehow bequeath it to him? Did he take it somehow by force? How does he get the power?
Well, he was vice president, so He became president because of that. But again, they were in cahoots. They cheated every single election since 2004. So of course he kept winning. He wasn't popular. People didn't want to vote for him. They knew that, with him in power, they were going to stay very poor. In fact, I think we talked about this before, but my family was pretty well off in Venezuela,
right?
When I was growing up, and they became quite poor. Some of them were able to leave and others were not. And all because of Nicolas Maduro. I mean, obviously Chavez, started it and he continued it. And it's utter destruction and just crime, rampant crime. It's a hellhole, really, in Venezuela right now.
It's Debbie D'Souza, originally from Venezuela, proud American now. I've got to ask you, though, what the intent was. And I think you and I have talked about this either privately or on the air. Do these people think they're doing good for the people, or are they just bad guys that are doing bad things?
No, that was just the excuse to get into power. They obviously know that what they're doing is very bad. In fact, Nicolas Maduro is also a narco-terrorist. I mean, people don't even realize that Nicolas Maduro is a narco-terrorist. So he's not just a socialist tyrant. He also does drugs. He actually brought drugs into America. In fact, there's a $25 million I guess, what do you call it?
A reward.
A reward for his capture because he is a wanted criminal for narco trafficking. And the other thing people don't realize is Tren de Aragua, the really bad gang,
right.
Gang that is in Venezuela now. I mean, that is in America now from Venezuela. Well, because of the release, he released them. And he actually made it possible for them to come to America. So that's another thing that Maduro has brought to America. This guy is really, really bad, and he needs to be out of there. And I don't really care how. Let's put it that way.
And I appreciate that. It's Debbie D'Souza. You know that I grew up in South Florida. I was there for the Mariel boat lift when Fidel Castro released all the bad people out of his jail, sent them north 90 miles. They all ended up in Miami. But back then, in 1980, what we did was we put them in a detention center, the Chrome Detention Center, until we figured out who they were. Here, he releases Tren de Aragua, either tells them go to the United States or lets them go to the United States. And we catch them, release them, they go take over apartment complexes. Do you think that he did it on purpose like Castro did back in the 80s? Did he say, go to the United States and cause mayhem, or did it just happen that way?
If I had to guess, I would say yes, he did it on purpose. He hates America, and he wanted nothing more than to see chaos and destruction and get them out of Venezuela. I mean, that was kind of a win-win for him. So, I do think that, and I think that what he has done with this election, this latest election, Edmundo González Urrutia won this election.
Okay.
For those people that don't know, Maria Corina Machado is a friend of mine, and she's a warrior. In fact, her nickname is the Liberator in Venezuela because she was going to take Maduro out. I mean, this woman was so popular. She won the primary by 90%. Which is very difficult to do.
Oh, yeah.
Because the opposition is so split. They have so many different parties. Very difficult to do to come to that much of a percentage for someone. And she did it. She's very popular. But because of that, and because Maduro is so intimidated by her, he actually got the Supreme Court of Venezuela to issue an order that she could not run against him.
Oh, come on.
Think about this. So she was not able to run against them. So she quickly found someone to run in her place. And, she, alongside him, she went to all the rallies with him. I mean, she was right there with him. She decided, you know what, maybe it's not me, but I want somebody else to win. And so everybody got behind this man. His name is Edmundo González Urrutia. And he won. He actually won this election. And the international community knows it. Everyone knows that this election was completely fraudulent. And so anyway, so he wins, but guess what? Maduro puts the Supreme Court again, the stacked Supreme Court that he stacked in order to make sure that he would stay in power,
right,
declared that he won when he did not. And so what happens? They order for this man, Edmundo González, to be jailed because he insists that he won. So he flees the country.
Wow.
He's in Spain right now. And so then Maria Corina has to go into hiding. And she can't communicate with me because there can't be any trace of her, online or anything like that. The other day, I believe it was Monday, she appeared on the streets, again, rallying against Maduro, and they arrested her. They actually were able to get her, arrest her. She was released, which was miraculous in and of itself because I was really thinking that they were going to do something to her. She was released, but this is where we are. This man needs to be taken out. And for Americans that don't understand what the Venezuelan connection has to do with America, Venezuela is a cesspool for Russia, China, and Iran. And as long as Maduro is in charge of Venezuela, these people are going to be very close to our border and no telling what they're going to do. And again, Maduro is issuing all kinds of crazy, wacky things like he's going to invade Puerto Rico, which is ridiculous on the face of it,
Yeah. Well, I want to get into that in earnest in a second. Let me present to people who you are again. It's Debbie D'Souza, our good friend. Dinesh is her husband. She produces his podcast, and also she's a producer on many, many movies. Go and check them all out. And originally from Venezuela. So let's go back to, let's say Maduro gets arrested and we extradite him somehow. Who knows? Let's say he dies suddenly somehow. Who knows? Isn't it the same situation as when Chavez died? Wouldn't his second in command just take over? Or would that truly give an opening to have this guy Edmundo actually win? I mean, what happens if he's no longer in the picture?
Right. So it has to be a regime change.
Okay.
Okay. It has to just not be because there are generals that are extremely close to Maduro and someone will take his place, obviously. So it has to be the entire regime. We have to just get rid of the whole thing. And I do think that there are some generals. In fact, one of my best friends, childhood best friends, her husband happens to be one of his generals.
Okay.
And I've been trying to get her to see the light. But they're afraid, obviously, right?
Right.
So it has to be somebody in his regime to like see the light and go, you know what? We need to make sure that once this man is out of power, we allow these people to take charge.
David, let's talk about administrations in this country because I love what you just said. Well, first of all, it being a cesspool for all the bad guys that hate us, that I think is allowed by Biden. So Biden leaves soon. Biden has been complicit in allowing Venezuela to be what it is because he could have cut them off through sanctions and everything else. I think we're actually buying, maybe through a third party, Venezuelan oil. We shouldn't be dealing with them at all. So Trump comes in and he's got the firm hand and he's bringing strength back. What can he do politically? What can he do financially? What can he do to force Maduro out and show the people of Venezuela we've got your back if he should leave?
Well, I think it's going to be really tricky, but I think and I hope that it doesn't involve any troops on our side, but that he's
Right.
able to diplomatically get somebody in Venezuela to do the inside job there in Venezuela, and then he will help. So, for example, if Maria Corina was to get in, Trump would help her with
Okay.
all kinds of things, lifting all the sanctions and opening up again, flights and making Venezuela great again, as
Nice.
we'd like to say. But that's what would have to happen because I know that nobody in America wants to see our troops going into Venezuela, taking Maduro out ourselves, sending some, Navy SEALs or something to take them
Right.
out. I
Right.
know that that's not something that anybody wants. So I'm hoping that Trump can not only intimidate Maduro, but intimidate some of Maduro's people, and to be able to have some kind of open channel to be able to do that without having to go there with boots on the ground, because I know that nobody wants to do that.
No, definitely not. It's Dinesh D'Souza. Go and check out Dinesh's podcast. She appears on there a lot too, and make sure you go and check out all their movies as well. She's a great American, former Venezuelan, originally from Venezuela, so she's got more insight and people there who are telling her what's going on. Let's go back to this allegation he's going to invade Puerto Rico. How stupid! He knows that it would be the end of him in 1 second if he even tried to do something on U.S. soil. So what do you think that's all about?
Well, I think Maduro likes to talk a lot. I think it was like maybe 6 months ago or something. He wanted to invade Guyana, which is the neighbor to Venezuela. He wanted
Right.
to go in there too, and it was all talk, no action. He didn't do it. I think this is all talk. I think he's trying to scare Trump, which, as you know,
Yeah, how's that going to work?
it's not going to work.
I mean,
No. And of course, the governor of Puerto Rico is Republican, so that's not going to work either. The Puerto Ricans do not want to be Venezuelan.
Of course not.
Come on. If they have the choice, do you really think they want to have socialism? I mean, really? So I don't think it's going to work. And actually, it would be a really good excuse to take him out if he happened to do that.
Yeah, well, Trump should say that. Go try it.
Exactly.
He should say try it. That'd be fun.
That's-
But again, it's like I don't know how tall he is, but he looks like a little man to me. It looks like a little man trying to show he's got some strength or some force or some power. But you can keep on saying it, and if you don't do anything, it doesn't mean anything. Was Guyana scared? I don't think so.
I don't think they were scared, but here's the thing: Maduro is actually not. He's a puppet, believe it or not. I mean,
For whom?
China, Iran,
Wow.
Russia, and these people have a lot at stake if this happens to to be the case.
Well, they're going to be run out of the hemisphere. I mean, they can't just keep on doing this in Venezuela. Again, weakness from Biden, that makes sense. That's why these people were able to go in there. But we make a good relationship with the people of Venezuela and with the popular actual leaders of Venezuela. I think we can afford to see change. I compare it to this, and I wonder what your thoughts are. When Obama was in office, there was an opportunity for the people to actually get some freedom and liberty in Iran. And Obama's response was, we're not going to meddle in the elections of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then the theocracy there started killing people in the streets. If we, the biggest superpower on the planet, say, hey, Venezuela, we got your back, I think you can see change.
I think so. And as a matter of fact, Jimmy Carter, who was responsible for that debacle,
yes,
was also responsible in 2004 for not having Maduro Chavez at the time being recalled. Because Jimmy Carter went in there and said, oh, no, it wasn't fraudulent. So thank you, Jimmy Carter, for doing that as well. So, yeah, we've had some Democrat presidents that have just been like over the top, ridiculously stupid in some of our foreign affairs. And Iran and Venezuela are definitely two examples.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's Debbie D'Souza. Go and check out the Dinesh D'Souza podcast. Get all the books they do, all the movies they do. She's a great singer as well. Make sure you go check out her singing. I love your singing, Debbie. One last question, if you don't mind, because you've got people there. I've got about a minute or so. Explain to my audience that are watching and listening what a day in the life is like for an average Venezuelan, because it's not very good, is it?
Well, the average Venezuelan, no. But if you are one of the elites, so in other words, you are, with Maduro's government, you tout the socialist flag, all those things, life is okay for you there. But if you're just, a patriot who wants freedom, who wants capitalism, no, the Bolivar is worth nothing, really. The things you were able to buy 20 years ago, you cannot buy today. People that were once middle class are now extremely poor. Wow. So yeah, it's basically misery for all. Basically,
are they still fighting in the streets for food? Are they eating their dogs? I mean, we heard those stories for a while.
Yeah, I think it's not as bad anymore. But okay. I mean, when maybe not eating your pet is one thing, but like when you really have to survive on $10 a month for food and clothing and rent and all of that, it's very bad. It's a very bad situation. I really pray for Venezuela every day. I still have family there, not many because many have already passed away, but I have a lot of cousins that are still there, and they struggle every day.
I appreciate the knowledge you bring us. I think people in the United States, unfortunately, aren't as educated on what's going on in Venezuela as they will be soon. I think Trump will make us aware of it, just how bad it is. Tren de Aragua is the first people that are going to be kicked out of this country, thankfully. And Maduro better be on guard, because I think he's done. And if we have this warrant to arrest him, I think we'll probably get something done. But hopefully there will be something in place there should there not be a void that some other bad guy fills. Debbie, thanks for the information. I always appreciate your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
You're the best. We're back after this. Stay right here.